Hello everybody, my name is Asanubia. Today I'm going to talk about the introduction to basic fire safety. Fire is mankind's oldest discovery. It is also one of our biggest threats that we are facing. Fire is indiscriminated and it can destroy lives and property, close down business, and it can put its remedial strains on the health and welfare of affected people, that the impact people. Fire safety standard creates to prevent a lower and incident of fire that can cause death, injury, and damage of property and the destructions of natural resources. I'm going to talk about the science of fire. Basically, what is fire? Is a process which substance combined together can causes chemical reaction and a typically giving out a light, heat, and smoke. What is fire safety? We mean by fire safety. Fire safety is referred to the precaution, the measure, the procedures that are taken to prevent or reduce the livelihood of fire, or the impact is the process that's reduced. I'm going to talk about 3 points here, which I will measure the prevention, then the awareness, then the preparedness. So these are under the safety in case of fire. So number one, which talk about the preventions, right? How to prevent fire. That is, to educate the public on how to take a precautions and prevent avoiding potential harmful fire. Education is the key to prevent or extinguish a fire and enable the affected of survival. Any fire emergency is a better way if is a proactive method of reducing emergency and damage caused, right? This basically means that is the educational awareness, the educational process, the procedures of educating people how they can prevent fire, how they can live a safety life in other way, not to ignite fire. Then I'm going to talk about the second point, which talk about the awareness, right? When we're talking about awareness in fire safety, it refers to the knowledge and the precaution or the perception or the ability to be aware of something and how we can interact things or interpret things about the safety management, right? That simply means that there should be an awareness what things are causing fire. Everybody should have ideas that this is what can cause fire. This is our measure that we are going to take. Sensitization. Then I'm going to talk about the third point, which talk about preparedness for fire safety. Preparedness. It means that it's a state of readiness that you have. They have to. The procedure should always be ready, which implies that following the right approach in the event of fire, one must know what not to do and do the risk assessment and register procedures. Right. This simply means that in case before fire, prior to fire, there should be a training, there should be a procedures in case of fire. What are we going to do? Which are the exit points? Which are the exit points to go? What to do? So this is talking about the preparedness. You should prepare before time. Without preparing, it can result to a lot of casualty because there is no time to think when you are in that particular situation, but measures will be taken prior to the escalation of that particular incident. I'm going to talk about fire triangle, right? When we're talking about fire triangle, for many years, the concept of fire was being symbolized by a triangle of a combination of burning and representing fuel, heat, and oxygen. coming to the definition, fire is the combination of heat, oxygen, and air, right? Then, what is oxygen in fire? Oxygen is approximately 21% in the atmosphere. So oxygen is one of the causes of fire. It's 21% in the atmosphere. Then with heat, where there is a hot temperature, so that temperature also, it has to take an initial source to speak or ignite. The heat is the one which ignites the oxygen, and it can create fire. And fire is the rapid chemical reaction known as combustion, which occur when fuel and oxygen interact to the presence of sufficient heat, and it can cause fire to ignite. Ignite simply means that it's the sparking. That means when fuel and heat and oxygen come together, it can result to fire. Let's say you have a wood, then you have a lighter. Then the wind, there is oxygen. So immediately you light it with all of this combination, the wood or the paper, then with the lighter, or the light or the match, it can lead to fire. I'm going to talk about the fire fire tetrahedron, right? There are 4 types of fire tetrahedrons. Number one, we're talking about combustion, right? Okay, if we are talking about fire tremedium, it's fuel. There are 4 types. It's fuel, it's heat, oxygen, and chemical reaction. These are the causes of fire in any place, right? When there is a lot of heat, right? Then there is a fuel. Fuel can be paper, can be like a chair, furniture. It can be like that. Then oxygen is the air, the wind, right? Then you're talking about the chemical reaction. Wherever there is too much heat, so this oxygen that is at the atmosphere, it can result to spark up of fire, right? Then it's called combustion, right? What we call combustion, for any material to burn, it must be heated to realize the vapor. Vapor means like the smoke, right? For any fire to occur, there should be high temperature of heat, So I'm going to talk about 4 steps of 4 stages of combustion. Combustion simply means that what can lead to fire, the ignite. You have number 1, the ignite stage. That is the fire, oxygen, and heat. Then you have number 2, which is the growth stage of fire, like when fire is developing. What we cause that one? Like it's from the greater sources, it's additional of fire or radiation or the temperature. Like if there is a fire, you put a pot on the fire, right? So that's fire, that heat it can create. Then we're talking about fully developed fire. That is point number 3. Fully developed fire is a fire which has been spread all over the place. All over like a room. A fire that has been spread is a developed fire. Then a decayed fire, that is number 4. It's talking about a fire which has escalated everywhere, right? In a workplace. Then I'm going to talk about fire hazard. Fire hazard. What is fire hazard? Working place hazard that involve the presence of flame or the risks of an uncontrolled fire, right? There are a lot of hazard in where we are working, or our homes, or our community. A lot of things that can cause fire hazard, right? Some common fire hazard include like what? I'm going to mention 8 points of common fire hazard. Number 1 is hot objects or any sources of heat, like sockets, when it's open, it can lead to heat. Then we're talking about smoking and the use of personal lighter. It's also a hazard, lighter or matches. Then we'll talk about flammable chemical, like some chemical which can ignite and explode, like gas, you understand. Then number 4, you have gaseous combustion products. Like there are some gas which are stored for cooking, which can lead to fire because of overheat. Yeah, that is the 4 points. Then number 5, we're talking about reducing visibility, Then like in terms of places very close, it can lead to fire also. Then building collapse is an hazard also. Sometimes when building already collapsed, people intend to go to that place, or the structure is not well okay, then it can lead to hazard, right? Then overloading, number 7, we're talking about overloading of electrical circuits, connection. This is called daisy chain, right? There are certain times in connections, like you have so many equipment, you want to plug them, connect them at the same time, it can lead to overloading of sockets, and it can lead to fire, and it's called daisy chain. Daisy chain is plugging one into another, plugging one into another, and plug another one, then it can call daisy chain, Then talking about storage also of flammable or hazardous items. If you don't store a flammable item properly, it can lead to fire hazard, because in terms of some certain perfumes or gas, you have to align them or store them in a safe place with a tag measure on them, flammable items or goods. Then 9 points, we're talking about cooking, like cooking items or general appliance. Sometimes like in your kitchen or office pantries, or sometimes in community, the way you leave your appliance, maybe you are doing something, you forget that you are cooking, that one can result also to it's hazard, right? Then I'm going to talk about fire, how to escape fire, right? This is very important. It's a very technique how we can survive, or how we can the fire technique if there is a fire in the room. This causes lots of death or injury in fire. Is actually asphyxiations or lack of oxygen. Many people die in this circumstances because of lack of oxygen in the air. When you are in a room, there is a fire. When you stand up, you cannot breathe properly. So many people they end up to collapse. So when there is a fire in that situation, that's what you should do, because the fire always suspend. So this simply means that you should have to crawl, to crawl, to crawl and to creep. Also, you creep in a lower space, because when you are up standing, you cannot able to breathe. But if you are in a lower place, you are crawling, you can able to breathe, while you can able to see the way to the exit door. You understand? So since the smoke rise during a fire, stay close to the ground when exiting, or either crawl or creep can make it easy to see and breathe. Then another technique also, talking about the fire exit, right? Every workplace that has a potential fire hazard must be equipped with a sufficient numbers of convenience location and easy accessible to exit points. In every building or every area, they should have an exit emergency door in case of fire, so people will be able to use the back door. And that exit door, you should not able to come back inside. It's only for exit, So then I'm going to talk about method of heat transfer, right? Heat transfer, how it can transfer from one place to another. So there are four types of heat transfer. One, in heat you have one which is direct burning. It simply means that when the way to spread a fire, directly application, like for example, when you light a lighter, it's directly, so this is direct heat. Then point number 2, talking about conduction. What is conduction? Is the transfer of heat from one sources to another. That is like after you light a fire, you put a pot, a fry pan in that pot, so that heat that is coming from that fry pot, it's called conduction. You understand? Then you have the third point, the third one method, which called convection. What is convection? It's transfer of heat by a movement of molecule. Molecule can be air or water or fat or gas, you understand, flowing from one place to another. Like for example, if a fire escalates in a room like this, with the heat that is producing, it can lead to fire to escalate in the other room. So this third point is called conventional fire. Then you're talking about radiation, which is the fourth method of heat transfer. Radiation. It is a transmission of heat in the form of waves or electrons or protons until a heat is absorbed by an object. Like for example, sunburn. You have a sunburn from the sun. Then talking about like you hang your cloth outside. So like this cloth, or you put closer fire for it to get dry. So these are called radiation. I will explain later about radiation, the food that you are eating that can cause radiation from the sun, So these are the four types of method of heat transfer. Then I'm going to talk about the causes of fire, which is the most important in this topic here. What are the causes of fire? You have smoke materials like cigarettes, like you put a cigarette a place where you are not supposed to put it, it can lead to fire. Then number 2 is electrical equipment. I'm going to mention 10 points of fire, causes of fire. Number 1 is smoking material. Number 2, electrical materials, right? Electrical equipment. Then number 3, you're talking about contractor tools, like tools they are used for working, contractors, like draining. Sometimes can lead to fire. Maybe this equipment is faulty, so they need to check those equipment most of the time. Then point number 4, talking about cooking equipment, right? Cooking equipment always stay closer. When you are cooking, you have to always stay near this cooking equipment, because sometimes it can ignite to fire, right? Then you're talking about the 5 points which talk about heat equipment. Like you have to keep meter away. You have to keep this equipment which is heat far away from, like 1 meter from any items like cloth, Then number 6, you're talking about improper use of candles. Candles also is most of the reason why we have fire, especially in Africa, because if someone slept, it can lead to fire. So, and also we have something we call shade lamp also, that use fuel, So talking about the 7 points is poor housekeeping, right? Poor housekeeping, like if you have your home where you are staying, you leave like a paper, like every items which is plastic, or near your cooking cooker, you leave everything like that. That one also can ignite fire. Maybe if you light your fire, then the room your kitchen temperature increase, it can also lead to fire. Then also we're talking about arson, right? Arson, right? Arson. What is arson? This is deliberate burning of property. For example, these things has been happening in most business places in the world. Like some manager, if they stole from this business, like goods in the storehouse. Some will intend to light fire on this building, on this store, so that they can claim insurance. So these are the reasons, but there should be an investigation after fire occur. There should be a police or a CID who is going to investigate what is the reason of this fire. So in most countries, people have this take 40%. 40% in the world, it happened 40%. Most people, they intend to put fire in their vehicle or fire in their store for them to claim insurance, or maybe they are about to audit them. So this normally happen, is a trick. Then talking about what are the reasons why people do these things, this harassing, why people do this one, puts fire. One, sometimes people with grudge against another company, they can put fire. Sometimes they have grudge. Then people who have been bored, or who do not do it for entertainment purpose. Then 3 points, people who are addicted to start up fire, like the, how they call it, pyromanics or what. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the 9 points of causes of fire again. The 9 points, natural cause. Natural causes has been in many places, fire occurrence. Like we're talking about volcano. Like vegetable, we have some flowers which are dried, or people are not living in that vicinity because of this dry vegetable or dry grass. And with the temperature of the temperature, the high humidity, and the oxygen in the air, it can ignite to fire, and it can escalate. So sometimes it can result to volcano. So these are some kind of natural disaster which is the causes of fire. We're talking about human error also. Human error also is also causing, the 10 point is human error, which can also cause fire. These human errors, most of the time, it's because of lack of knowledge how to use some certain equipment, or you are in certain offices, or you are certain house, you don't know how to use this equipment. So sometimes it leads to fire because the way you're supposed to switch something, if they have regulator, you don't use it the proper way, it can ignite to fire or explode. Yeah. So all this one I'm saying is to help and motivate people, or motivate the safety, or motivate the firefighter or the fire warden, so that everybody should have a proper training about fire, how you can help in a case of fire, how you can prevent fire, and fire awareness and fire prevention. So I stop here. In my next topic, I'm going to talk about how to use the fire extinguisher, and I'm going to explain different types of fire and different type of extinguisher.